Red dust curled through the canyon like smoke from an invisible fire. Dr. Cale Harlan stood at the edge of a jagged ridge, visor streaked with static as wind scratched in his suit. Below, the rover blinked idle. Its mechanical arm, half submerged in rock, had unearthed something that didn't belong. He descended slowly. Every step crunched over brittle ground, ancient and untouched. The thing sat embedded in stone, perfectly coiled, symmetrical, and sharp-edged. It shimmered faintly under his headlamp. "Recording," Cale said, tapping his helmet mic. Sol 384. Sector 6B, sample appears fossilized, spiral structure, not consistent with known Martian geology. Possibly synthetic. Organic metallic? He paused. Suggest advanced bioengineering or intelligent design. A pulse of static crawled across his comms. Then a voice, cold and crisp. "Dr. Harlan. This is Commander Voss. Cease excavation. Return to Astrius Station immediately." Cale didn't respond. He knelt, gloved fingers brushing the object. As he touched it, the fossil shimmered, just for a second, like heat rising off metal. Then it stilled. Inside Astrius Station, the silence was different, denser, more mechanical. The doors hissed shut behind him, pressure stabilizing with a sigh. The corridor lights flickered as if irritated by his return. Cale moved quickly through the narrow halls, past water recyclers and humming oxygen tanks. The station was buried under a kilometer of regolith to shield from radiation, but even that couldn't keep out the weight of Mars. It pressed on everything: air, thought, purpose. He stepped into the lab, where May was already reviewing atmospheric scans. "You're late," she said, not looking up. "I found something." May turned. Her expression softened as she saw the scan Cale uploaded to the holodable. The fossil rotated in midair, clean lines, almost too perfect to be natural. No sediment erosion. No fragmentation, she murmured. "That's not just a fossil. It's engineered." Cale nodded. "And old. Probably predating human civilization." May tapped at the projection. "You know what this means?" He did. And not just scientifically. Politically. Philosophically. Religiously. Helix, the station's AI, pinged softly. "Incoming directive, Level 3 clearance required. Commander Adrian Voss, all biological discoveries beyond baseline extremophile classification must be declared and contained." Cale exhaled. She knew. She's been monitoring the dig. "She's not going to let this out," May said. "You know that." Later, Cale sat alone in the observatory module. The window showed nothing but shifting sand and stars so distant they felt like ghosts. He played an old audio clip, his daughter, laughing. "Dad, if we find aliens, do we have to fight them too?" He'd smiled when she asked that. But now, listening again, he couldn't. Earth was dying, suffocated by greed, war, and climate collapse. They had come to Mars not just to survive, but to start again. That was the dream. But the systems of control followed them here, suffocating, intact. "Dr. Harlan." He turned. Commander Voss stood in the doorway, uniform immaculate, her boots still dusted with the red of Mars. Her eyes held none of the wonder the fossil inspired. "I've seen the scans," she said. "You're shutting down the dig." Cale stood slowly. "We found evidence of a non-human, intelligent life form. Possibly technologically integrated. That's not just science. That's history. That's instability," she cut in. "Do you know what happened the last time unfiltered alien data hit Earth? Half the globe lit up in riots. That was fiction. This is evidence. And evidence needs context. Control." Her voice didn't rise, but it sharpened. "You will submit all data to Central Archives and seal the site under Protocol 7. You want to bury it." "I want to protect this colony," she snapped. "You think Earth sent us here to play archaeologist?" "No. We're a forward base, Cale. Strategic. Controllable. And stable. Cale looked at her, really looked. Behind the iron tone, the military posture, he saw fear, not of aliens, but of what the truth could unravel. "I didn't come here to repeat Earth," he said. "I came here to get away from it." Voss turned. "You came here on a Federation shuttle. Don't forget who still owns the sky." Hours later, back in the lab, Cale stared at the rotating scan. It wasn't just a fossil. There were microscopic circuits laced through the spiral, metallic proteins shaped with impossible precision. "Neurocore lattice?" May asked, appearing behind him. "Maybe. Or a storage medium," Cale said. "Something like a brain. Or a message. Helix says the energy signature matches synthetic organics. Nothing in human libraries." "What about alien?" May hesitated. "That's classified beyond our clearance." Cale smiled bitterly. "Not for long." He turned to Helix. "Cross-analyze all known human neural architecture with the embedded lattice. Look for match patterns." "Working." "Anomaly confirmed. Lattice structure suggests encoded data. Decryption estimate, 27 hours, ***. May leaned in. "Encrypted alien memory." "Or a warning," Cale said quietly. "A story left behind." She looked at him. "You're going to disobey her, aren't you?" "I already did." Cale made one final log entry that night. Not for the station. Not for Voss. For himself. If they died here, they didn't die in silence. They left a trace. Maybe we're not the first to fall. But maybe we can be the first to listen. He closed the terminal, unaware that behind the lab walls, sealed in shadow, Commander Voss had authorized a lockdown on Sector 6. Outside, the Martian wind screamed low across the canyon mouth like something ancient trying to speak again. Darkness clung to the Martian canyon like a second skin. Cale Harlan gripped the flashlight tight as its beam flicked across the stone walls, catching fragments of alien etchings. May walked beside him, silent, her breath quick over the comm. They weren't supposed to be here. Helix's override had bought them 2 hours, enough time to reach the fossil site before Voss's demolition drones began their sweep. Enough time, if they were lucky, to find the source of the signal Cale's scans had detected. "Signal strength increasing," May said, her eyes on the scanner strapped to her chest. "Whatever's emitting it, it's deeper than we thought." Cale nodded. "Then we follow it." They reached the bottom of the trench where the spiral fossil had been. The cavity it left had crumbled partially inward. Cale brushed aside loose rock and tapped along the inner edge. A hollow tone rang back. He pressed his glove to the stone. "There's something under here." May retrieved a compact plasma cutter. "Move back." A few precise arcs, and the stone face fractured, revealing a narrow passage. Heat rolled out, dry, unnatural. Cale stepped in first. The tunnel dropped steeply. Lights danced on metal-ribbed walls, ancient conduits woven with mineral veins, like roots and cables had fused over centuries. "This isn't natural," May whispered. "No. It's architecture." A chamber opened at the end, circular, cathedral-like. The ceiling arched with strange murals. Lines spiraled outward from a central dais. Symbols repeated across every surface, carved in stone and etched with a tool far beyond human design. Cale approached slowly. A fossilized form knelt in the center, hands raised in offering. Where its eyes should have been, empty sockets gazed up at the dais. "Humanoid," May said, scanning. "But, biomechanical. Look at the rib plating. That's not bone, it's alloy." Cale studied the corpse. Fine circuits laced through the skeletal remains. The spinal column terminated in a crystallized node, the same lattice pattern found in the fossil above. "This was a data core," he murmured. "Part of it, maybe. Connected directly to its nervous system." A soft pulse of light flickered on the dais. Cale turned. "May, that scanner, Pick up any active signal? She checked. Still rising. Something's waking up. Cale stepped closer to the dais. In its center lay a smooth black orb, its surface glossy, untouched by dust. He didn't need to ask. He knew. This was the source. Back at Astrius, Commander Voss watched the excavation feed go dark. Helix had cut surveillance in the outer sector. Someone had tampered with station protocols. Lock down all external access points, she barked. Full recall on all field personnel. An aide hesitated. We don't have visual on Dr. Harlan. Voss's jaw tightened. Then find him. And prep demolition charges. We seal that canyon before he digs deeper. Helix, Cale said, panting, translate any repeating symbol patterns. Cross-reference with known linguistic structures. Analyzing, partial match found. Structural syntax detected. Content suggests historical record. Displaying, asterisk asterisk. A projection shimmered into being. Light and shadow twisted until shapes formed, twin cities glowing beneath red skies, machines tending towering plants, humanoids exchanging information through pulses of light between their palms. Then came war. Black vessels burned the sky. The towers fell. Flares of plasma raked the ground. The cities dissolved in flame. Are we seeing their end? May asked. Cale didn't answer. He stepped forward. The orb pulsed at his approach. Contact confirmed. Link initiated, asterisk asterisk. Warning, cognitive stream unstable. Memory sync at risk, asterisk asterisk. I want in, Cale said. May grabbed his arm. Cale, wait, this tech could interface with your nervous system. You don't know what it'll do. I have to know how it ends. He touched the orb. Pain lanced through his skull. Not physical, deeper, like someone had turned his thoughts inside out. His vision blurred, but not into blackness, into memory. He stood in another body. Felt another heartbeat. They were fleeing. Through caverns lit by bioluminescent fungi. Dozens of them, wounded, desperate. The air trembled from orbital strikes above. They reached a vault. A woman, or what was once a woman, held the orb and whispered in a language Cale somehow understood. Let them find us. Let this be our voice when we no longer have one. The vault sealed. Silence returned. Cale jolted back, collapsing to the chamber floor. May caught him. You okay? He wiped blood from his nose. I saw them. Their final day. They knew they were ending. Why leave this for us? He looked at the orb. Because they hoped someone would listen. They climbed out of the chamber into pre-dawn light. The dust had settled, and above the horizon, Earth shone like a pale coin. We have to get this back to the station, May said. If Helix finishes decryption, we might have a full archive. Cale's smile faded. No. Voss won't let it leave the canyon. She'd destroy it. He nodded. Already planning to. Silence stretched between them before May spoke. Then we don't let her. By mid-morning, Voss stood with Luke at the canyon's edge. Drones hovered overhead, blinking red, primed with seismic charges. Give me full detonation coordinates, she said. Luke hesitated. Still no trace of Cale or May. Then bury them both if you have to. Luke stiffened. With all due respect, Commander, they're scientists. Not threats. Voss didn't blink. Truth can be a threat. Especially when it spreads faster than control. Cale and May crouched behind a boulder, watching from a distance. She'll erase it all, May said. Cale's gaze didn't leave the drones. Unless we get the archive off Mars first. You have a plan? He nodded. We transmit it. From the old backup uplink in the ridge. Helix can route the data to Earth. Bypass all Federation firewalls. And Voss? Cale stood. She wants silence. We give her a message instead. The ridge loomed like a scar across the Martian plain. Shrouded in wind-blown grit, it held one secret Voss hadn't thought to destroy, the old uplink array, decommissioned after the first surface relays went active. Outdated, abandoned, but still connected to Earth's deep space net. Cale crouched in the shadow of a twisted antenna, sweat beading under his helmet. The orb sat cradled in a carbon case beside him. It pulsed gently now, like a heartbeat syncing with his own. May worked at the base terminal, rewiring ports with trembling fingers. Uplinks barely holding. Atmospheric interference is spiking. It doesn't have to be perfect, Cale said. Just long enough to get the archive through. She hesitated. And what if Earth ignores it? Buries it like Voss would? Cale met her eyes. Then we still told the truth. And someone, someday, will dig it back up. The orb flickered brighter as Helix chimed in. Decryption complete. Archive packet prepared. Warning, unauthorized transmission will trigger security protocols, ***. Cale inhaled. Do it. Inside Astrea Station, Commander Voss stood before the ops table as alarms flashed red across her HUD. Unauthorized signal detected, origin, uplink ridge, Helix announced flatly. She slammed a fist down. Patch me in. The view snapped to grainy drone footage. Cale and May hunched over the console, the alien orb glowing between them. Voss's face hardened. Deploy aerial intercept. Shut them down. If they get that signal off planet. Luke stepped forward. Commander, we don't know what they're transmitting. We know enough, Voss snapped. I will not allow this colony to fracture over ancient corpses and conspiracy. Luke didn't move. Those two are breaking orders. This is mutiny. Luke met her gaze. No, Adrian. This is history. She didn't hesitate. Get out of my way. Above the ridge, the first drone banked into view. Cale didn't look up. We've got one incoming. Transmission at 20%, May said. Cale removed a protective lens from the orb. It responded instantly, flares of light dancing across its surface. In the uplink dish, the signal sharpened. Data surged through ancient circuits. Helix's voice echoed through their earpieces. Archive upload in progress. Estimated completion, 52 seconds, ***. The drone whirred closer, weapon ports hot. May stood. Keep sending. I'll buy you time. No, Cale started. She was already running. The drone pivoted toward her, hesitating just enough to miss its chance. She dove behind a rocky ledge, drawing its attention. Cale forced himself to stay focused. The orb glowed like a star now, humming against the ground. He watched the data string climb, 71%. 84%. Back in the control room, Voss stared at the feed. Impact in 10 seconds, Helix announced. Luke stepped in front of the table. Don't do this. Step aside, she ordered. They're not your enemies. You're acting like the tyrants Earth ran from. This is about order. No. It's about fear. Yours. She didn't answer. Instead, she tapped the override. Terminate signal. All drones, fire. A whine screamed through the ridge. Cale looked up just as a second drone descended, missile pod rotating to lock. The uplink was lit bright blue from the orb's emission. Upload at 96%. 98%. 99%, ***. A flash. The drone fired. Cale grabbed the orb and threw himself against the uplink pedestal. The explosion hit. Silence. Then static. Then Helix, garbled. Upload complete. Transmission confirmed, ***. Cale blinked dust from his eyes. The ridge was scorched, the uplink blackened, but still intact. He coughed hard, then laughed. It had gone through. Footsteps crunched behind him. Commander Voss stood at the ridge edge, sidearm drawn. Her face was unreadable. You disobeyed every regulation. Kale stood, slowly. I obeyed something older. You endangered this station. Your crew. No. You did. They stared at each other. What happens now? She asked, voice cold. Kale looked at the horizon. Earth hung small and bright in the dawn. Now the truth is out. And you can't take it back. 3 days later. Back on Earth, the broadcast rippled across closed networks. Despite Federation locks, the signal bled out, leaked by dissidents, mirrored by rogue satellites, and archived by civilian astronomers who caught the echo from deep space. The images spread, of the spiral fossil, the chamber, the memories of a dying species who had tried to leave their story behind. They called them the architects. And for the first time in decades, Earth looked to the stars not with conquest, but with curiosity. In the lab, May sat beside Kale, watching the orb slowly dim. The last of its energy drained away, its purpose fulfilled. Was it worth it? She asked. Kale didn't speak for a moment. Then, we didn't come to Mars to survive. We came to matter. He looked up at the red sky. They mattered. And now, so do we.